Hey everybody, my name is John Bear, for those of you who don't know, and today I'm going to be giving an informative speech about praise and worship. So here real quick I got a picture of some people worshiping, and I just looked up worship on the internet, and this is a picture that I found that kind of caught my eye. I felt like it was a good image that kind of like captured the idea of worship. So I have 3 points for you guys today. The first one is kneeling while worshiping. The second one is raising your hands while worshiping, and the other one is to lessen yourself. So firstly, we have kneeling while worshiping, and I have a Bible verse on this, Psalms 95:6, and it says, just a sec. It says, "Come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for He is our God." I feel like kneeling while worshiping is a great way to worship, and it's something that I haven't always done. But the more you dig into what worship is, and you start to learn more about worship, it is in a way kind of showing God that you're giving yourself to Him, and it's kind of like sometimes it's out of my comfort zone and it's out of other people's comfort zone to kneel while in praise and worship, just because you wonder what your friends are going to think about you. But as Christians, we're called to do some things at times that might be a little socially awkward, but that's just who we are as Christians. 2 Chronicles 20:18 also talks about a man who kneels down while worshiping, and a whole nation follows after him once he kneels. And I think that's just a great example of leadership through worship, and it's just an encouraging way to show other Christians what worship is. The second topic is raising your hands while worshiping, and I got another Bible verse, 1 Kings 8:22. It's right here. And it says, "Then Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord in front of the entire congregation of Israel and spread out his hands toward heaven." Again, same as with kneeling in worship, it's also kind of a humbling thing, and it might be you might find it embarrassing at times, but again, it's just another form of worship. Also, going to the altar while worshiping is another great thing, and I feel like a lot of these things kind of have, to some degree, you might think of at first, it could be a little bit awkward or weird for you if it's out of your comfort zone, but sometimes you're going to have to do that. So I think that that's a lot of times what worship can be. So when you're raising your hands in worship, you're just kind of saying, "God, take control of my life," and in a way saying, "Pick me up." And so here I have a picture of a man on his knees hugging God. And I don't know if any of you guys remember, but us being a kid, we would go up to anybody who's older than us that we love and care about, like our dad or mom, and just lift up our hands to them and ask them to pick us up. And in that sense, raising your hands while worshiping represents that, because we're going to God and we're saying, "Pick me up." And that's just a great thing for worship. Here I have my third point, and it's lessen yourself. Sometimes or a lot of times when we think about worship, we just think about singing songs, because that's kind of all we've been taught. But once you dig deeper into worship, you find that worship is lessening yourself before God, and whether that's worship, praying, being silent, which are some of the things that I'm going to cover, that's also a form of worship that we don't always think about. So like I said, prayer is a form of worship, because you're lessening yourself before God. And sometimes you'll be like, "Well, prayer is prayer, worship is worship." That's what I've always been taught. But the lessening yourself before God is worship, and you do that in prayer. So singing is not the only way to experience worship. Here I have a picture, and it says, "Silence, be still and know that I'm God." If you think about it, how often are we quiet? These days, everything is so busy and chaotic. People are always talking, texting, Facebook. We're always doing things, and to be silenced in front of the presence of God is a great way to worship Him, because that is setting aside special time to be quiet and worship. So I feel like that is a great way to worship. And sometimes you might be in worship and your worship leaders might stop singing and you think, "Oh, is worship over?" But when they do that, they're just leading you to a deeper experience with God. Finally, to just wrap this up, worship is truly amazing, and you're putting yourself at the foot of the cross, and doing that, you're worshiping the King who died for us. And worshiping isn't just for us. I had experience before the summer started during worship, and ever since then, worship became for me for a long time. Once I dug into it, though, I realized that worship isn't just for me, it's for God. And even if you have a terrible voice or if you have a great voice, God wants to hear you praises to Him. And worship is a great way to do that. So, just to recap on what I talked about, worshiping while kneeling, worshiping and raising your hands, and to lessen yourself. And some of the sources that I used on here were the Bible, of course, Google for some of the pictures, and Facebook for some of the pictures. Does anybody have any feedback or constructive criticism?
I thought your eye contact was really good.
Thank you. Is that it?
It was distracting. You kept moving. It was trying to follow your voice, and then you kept moving.
Okay.
So it was kind of hard. So maybe if you anchor yourself in one area, and then when you're like, I seen use your hands a lot to talk.
Okay.
Limit how far you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, good. Just dial it back just a bit.
Okay. Thank you.